Hello everybody, this is Mike with Maker's Outpost again, and today we're doing a teardown video of a Toshiba Portege M780 tablet PC. Part of the main reasons is to get down and check out the cooling system. This is my wife's laptop, and she's been complaining about it making noises, running a little bit slow. So I'm suspecting that it's got the typical laptop cooling system dirtiness that you find. So today we're going to be tearing it down to clean out this whole cooling system and making sure everything's okay. Due to problems I've had with my phone recording video before, there'll probably be multiple edits of sections spliced together just so I can make sure that it actually captures the audio. So I'm going to be just trying to learn and figure all this out, because the last time I tried this, the audio didn't capture. That's why this video is late. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So I don't know how much commentary I'm going to have while I'm working, but hopefully you'll understand the processes. If you don't hesitate to drop me a line. Right now I'm just pulling out the basic accessories, the battery, pulling open panels to see where everything is, see how everything's built. So yeah, I don't know how much I'm going to talk or make comments on everything. Because honestly, I don't know how much people like to hear that. So I'll be as quiet as possible. So just pulling out some of the basic parts. Yeah, I don't know, it's been a while since I've had to open up one of these models, so I can't remember everything and how they go together. I just have a habit of just pulling or loosening all the screws and going from there. Alright, don't know if that needed to come out, but we'll find out. So now we're just going to start loosening screws. Feel free to skip ahead to parts that are more interesting. Sometimes this can be boring work, and it's even more boring watching somebody else do it. But sometimes we all have to watch tutorials and just to figure out how things are done. Don't mind my little kitty calling. My little kitty Henry. one of my little shop assistants. This tape trick you should recognize from the one little tech advice video that we pushed out, highlighting this little trick. I've been using this little technique for a while now, and don't really use as much tape as you would think. These little pieces, the roll actually lasts quite a while, because it's usually here on the main case that you're going to run through the tape, not usually the rest of the laptop or electronic device. Okay, it looks like all the primary screws are loosened, so we're going to flip it over and see if we can start separating the shell a little bit here. Like I said, it's been a while since I had to open up one of these. Fingernails for the win. Okay, so pull the keyboard. Need a different bit. Having a nice diverse set of tools is a must in this field. In computers and electronics, making, you name it. A good set of tools can mean the difference between actually accomplishing something or not accomplishing something. Alright. And this is where the secondary memory module is. Not a place to put it under the keyboard, but sometimes you gotta do stuff to save space. And while I've got it open, I'll see if I can upgrade the memory. It's got 4 gigs now, and I'll do some research real quick and see if we can upgrade it while she's open. Okay, so that's that. Now let's see if we can get the case to split here. Okay. I will admit this is one interestingly designed laptop. Very, very interestingly designed. Screw went for a ride. Good thing I got it. Okay, so feels like I am missing one over here. Oh, that's loose. That's loose. That out of the way before it becomes a problem. Tell you what, this system is designed pretty interestingly. Not designed how you would think. Okay, I bet you the reason this is like this Just when you think you're an expert at something, you find out you're not. Okay. All right. Just little notes so I know how the Wi-Fi card gets hooked back up. Something tells me that this comes apart in a way I'm not used to. Alright. Something tells me that panel's got to come off. Be wrong, but we'll find out here in a minute. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to come off. In fact, I don't even know what was under there, or what would be under there, so they didn't have to come off. That screw, there might be a necessary screw right there. Find out here in a minute. Haha. Okay. Again, that was slightly unexpected. Yeah, you learn to deal with that when you work on equipment like this. Laptops, desktops. Get more and more interesting as you go. So one of the biggest pieces of advice I have for anybody is don't force it. Don't struggle with it. Just take your time and feel it out, for a lack of better terms. All right, now, okay, so, excuse me as I shuffle myself around here. Okay, that's one of the things I was afraid of, worried about, is the way the whole assembly was made. Okay, so now, this one loosen enough. That's fine. This is, like I said, this is an interesting. Okay, I have to remember to put that piece that just fell out back in. Okay, I see. Okay, I get it now. Okay. I'm so used to going a certain direction that it kind of threw me off. It comes apart that way, from the bottom. Something to remember. Sometimes just when you think you know something, you've got it completely wrong. Alright. This is actually a fairly simple design. It's actually a lot better, a lot easier than I anticipated, because right here is the cooling system. real easy to take it apart and get to it. Okay, I see that one screw that I pulled wasn't necessary to pull. So, okay, so right here we have the cooling system. If you remember from the last video, the fan, the radiator, the heat pipe, and the actual heat sink, which connects to the processor. So what we're going to do is go ahead and pull the power. Boy, this thing's even easier than I was anticipating. As the fan just unbolts from a bracket assembly. That is so cool. I will say I will give Toshiba props on this. So this is a separate fan assembly, which apparently just bolts to a bracket. You don't have to break the pull the heat sink from the processor. This looks like an air duct kind of system. Fortunately, this one wasn't as dirty. It does have some cat hair in there. I mean, obviously you heard our cats. So what I'm going to do is, even though it's not necessary, I still want to show this step. So I'm going to pull the heatsink from the processor. Now, hopefully yours, if you do this, you're going to notice you've got the arms, the spring-loaded system that holds the cooling system down to the processor. And they have numbers on them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just like a car tire, you want to tighten and loosen in a specific order. So we're going to loosen backwards from 4. 4, then 3. This helps ensure proper tension is applied to it while it's sitting on the processor. 2, and then 1. This is not a necessary step, but something I'm choosing to do. So we're going to pull the heatsink. Yeah, it's not as dirty as I've seen before, but it's got some cat hair build up in there. So since I'm in here, I'm going to clean it anyway. And one of the other things I'm going to do is just go and clean off the thermal compound and put new thermal compound on. So to clean that, I just need some paper toweling, some isopropyl alcohol, 91%, 99%, doesn't really matter. And then my replacement thermal compound. So what we're going to do is, before we get any of the dust off, we're just going to go ahead and pull off as much of the thermal compound as we can. Just the chunky stuff. Pardon my language, the chunky stuff. Pull it from the processor. I'll get some canned air and get that rest of that off of here in a minute here. So I get as much of it off the processor as I can. So then what I'm going to do is take isopropyl alcohol, get the paper towel kind of damp, and just wipe as much of the residue off of the heatsink and the processor as possible. You don't want to use too much force here. You're just trying to break as much of that stuff loose as you can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my cleaning supplies. Which have canned air and some other material, some other supplies in there. Canned air. One of the coolest little tools I've used is just a basic cheap paintbrush. It helps to break down break loose the big debris that you find sometimes, like lint balls, pet hair. It just helps break down the big stuff. You don't need to like go to town like rubbing really hard. Just a little bit. Makes it easier for the canned air to actually clean, because it loosens up a lot of the big stuff. A lot of dust more than anything in there. Now with the cooling fan, you don't want to necessarily rotate the fan with the canned air, because you can actually damage the motor. You can basically spin it too fast. Well, that's all you got to do to clean that. Fairly simple. I mean, these are all simple tasks that almost anybody can do. So I'm going to just use a little bit of alcohol with my toothbrush and gingerly just scrape the big stuff off of the CPU. Don't have to do this. These are just little things I like to do, little steps I like to take. You don't need much force. You don't want to break any of the surface mount capacitors loose. That would be a bad thing to do, to be honest with you. Alright. Help dry off everything. It's just alcohol. It'll eventually dry up on its own, but here, this will speed up the process. Alright, so there we go. Okay, so now we have our cooling system cleaned up. Like I said before, this one wasn't that bad, which is good. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop out some of our thermal compound. I'm not going to recommend one brand over another. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not going to do product placements. One thing I'm not getting paid to. And like the Coke and Pepsi debate, everybody has their own brand that they stick to, that they swear by. This is just the brand I've been using for years and that I like to use because of the reliability I've had with it. I don't even use OEM heatsink compound in new builds. I just use this. So, don't need a ton. Hence, a little tube actually will last a while. Okay. So now, reassembly. Very similar to disassembly. Biggest thing you've got to remember is the order of operations on these pads. The order of torque down. So you start with number 1. Just tighten it down. On to number 2. Number 3. All right. Edit time. Yeah, sorry about the editing. It's just I don't want to lose the audio when I've lost it before. So, and then torque number 4 down. All right. So now that seats the heatsink properly against the processor. So that's done. The cooling system's here with the radiator. So now we're going to take the... All right. Sometimes half the fun is figuring out how things originally came apart on you. Sometimes that's half the battle. Things like this can be tricky. Alright, so that's like that. No, it does not go like that. That looks like that's how it goes. Okay, put that in place. All right, connect the power. Perfect. Okay. I guess I didn't need to disconnect some of the stuff up top that I did. If I was separating the actual circuit board, the actual system board, yeah, I would have had to have. But hey, you learn, right? That's the whole point of this. So now we're going to put some of the plastic pieces back where they belong while we piece together the case. All right. This is actually rather easy. One of the easiest teardowns and reassembles I've had to do on a laptop just to check out and clean the cooling system. This one was not that bad, which is actually quite good for me. So pretty much reassembly is not exactly completely opposite reverse of disassembly, because obviously now that I know how this comes apart, I kind of went kind of took more apart than I needed to, which is quite humorous. No way I could gain access to the right. You can put some of these pieces back together. Don't really need to have all this stuff apart. back together before I get too far ahead of myself here. Okay. All right. Okay. Pop these little guys antenna wires back on for the Wi-Fi. Didn't need to take those out now, did I? All right. There we go. And this little gem back together. Got to put that little screw back in there. Bingo. Put this shield back in place. Little dust cover, I imagine. Alright, while I'm here, I'm going to put this guy back in. Alright, now I'm going to edit, step aside, and see if I can look in the memory, into the memory real quick. Alright, we're back. So I looked into it. This particular laptop can support 8 gigs of memory, 2 4 gig DIMMs. I have one 4 gig module. I didn't check whether or not it'll support you know, a 2 gig and a 4 gig for 6 gigs total. So what I'm going to do is we'll test it. So I'll put one of the original 2 gigs back in up here. That way if it doesn't work, I can always just swap it back out. Put this little guy back together again. Properly. Alright. Real quick, I'm going to do while I've got the keyboard out. Give it a quick little dusting. That looks pretty. Keyboard back together. This way I don't have to go through and replace everything, reopen everything if the memory upgrade doesn't work, if you won't take 6 gigs. Sometimes some systems are very particular. Depends on the exact memory configuration, the motherboard configuration. Alright, get you guys back together again. The band back together again. Alright, get the decorative filler strip back in. There we go. Filler strip is back in. Alright, put that to the side. Alright, come back around. I'm going to put the 4 gig module in I have and see if she boots up and recognizes 6 gig. If she does, that'll be a good thing. Because then the memory is slightly upgraded, and as soon as I get another 4 gig memory module, we can alright. Let's see how she acts. air coming out. Well, so far it did not fault a memory issue. This is a very positive sign. All right. Check out the system. 6 gig of RAM. That is awesome. So what I can do is next time when I come across a 4 gig memory module, I will save it and set it aside, a 4 gig DDR2, and throw it into the laptop for her. But this way she gets a little upgrade. I'm happy, she's happy. Computer's a little bit faster. The cooling system is proper now, no issues there. Alright, well, if you liked the video, feel free to subscribe. We try to push out videos as often as we can with projects, computer repair, tech advice, things like that. So definitely subscribe if you want to catch them as we push them out. If we would also appreciate your support on Patreon. Our link is in the video. It would definitely help us to be able to push out more videos, maybe at a more consistent pace as well as design new products and come up with new projects for everybody. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. If you think anything can be improved, definitely drop them in the comments. I'd be happy to hear them. Hey, thanks. Talk to you later.